Okay. Um, One thing that happens when people actually do post their writing stories, their desks are so clean. They're so clean. Mine is so messy, so I'm going to specifically target one area of my desk so that no one else notices. Like, my desk has my jewelry, my camera equipment, my PlayStation, my computer, all my pens, various notebooks, um, candles, nothing's organized. I do not know how people have organized spaces, but I have too much stuff. So that said, let's do a cute little. I think that this is what I'm gonna do when I start sharing. Like, oh, this is my writing block. You're just gonna see my hands because I don't want to embarrass myself, so I'm not even gonna show you. Anyways, I wrote this story. I'm writing this story, and I really like how this is going. Actually, I'm just gonna record myself. Um, so I lost my father this year, which is something that I keep saying. And 4 years ago, I lost my best friend. Over 4 years ago now, it's almost 5 years ago. I lost one of my best friends. And 5 years ago, I lost my dog. Just to go into the fun little grief rant, but that's not the sorry. I decided to pour myself some wine as I wrote because I started dealing with some self-doubt, and I did my stretches, I did my calming teas, I hydrated, I ate food, and it still wasn't going away. So I was like, okay, well, let's just crack open a bottle of cheap wine to get through the day. And yeah, okay. So I'm writing a series. I'm going to write a story every day in the month of January, and this story is going to follow these two characters. They're two love interests, and my inspiration for it was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. It was one of my favorite books when I was in high school. I love the element of two people writing notes to each other, and in that way, because I feel like when you write like these letters, these notes, that's like the truest form of like connecting with people, because when you're writing things down, you're usually writing from like, your heart, your soul, so I really liked that element. I also really liked the traveling around of New York City. It's because New York at Christmas is one of my favorite things. It's something that I grew up with as a New Yorker, and it has been like washed away by over the years with all the people who come into the city, but there are some elements that I still do enjoy. I will only write about the very popular things because I don't want anyone to ruin my New York at Christmas. I'm a gatekeeper. I am. I okay. Anyways, so the story of Simone and Park, that's the name of my characters. These are two people who both experience grief. Park, he lost his father when he was 18. And at 20, he started a podcast where he shares his grief or other people's grief stories and connects with other people. He offers advice, he offers comfort, community solutions. That's like his main platform with his grief. And Simone, she just lost her best friend, and she has been trying to figure out the best ways to just process everything. She's kind of floundering. She needs to keep working and keep doing things in order to make money, but she's still not having a great time. And though she has a safe community, a lot of people don't understand the grief she's experiencing. Some people are trying their hardest. Some people really are not trying their hardest to help her. And she's just been hoping to find a safe space. And she found it when she found the podcast that Park has. Simone, she has been writing letters to this new podcast, and not really letters. She writes just notes about like her everyday and how certain things remind her of her best friend, and that's how she's been connecting with this podcast. And she's been wondering why, no one has been reading the posts that she's been, the letters that she's been sending. And the reason why is because Park has been collecting them. He's been reading them and started to admire this person behind the letter. And he doesn't really know how to connect with her in a safe and like normal sounding way. But he does cherish the letters that he does get from her. That story of Simone and Park, their actual love story, is going to happen later in 2025. But as of January, I will be posting a story about just those characters, just how they come to be, how they get to where they get to the point of meeting each other, their relationships with their family members, the jobs that they have that they hated, that they loved, the people, the shitty situations, all of that jazz. I'm going to be posting fun little stories about Simone every single day in January, and I really hope that you read them all and enjoy them. But if you don't, this is just me trying to get to know the characters and also introduce them to you, introduce them to me and introduce them to you, you know? And I'm really excited about this project. Sometimes I get like overwhelmed or in my head about everything, and then I say it all out loud and I'm like, no, like I feel like I need this. I need to write this story about these two people who find happiness within their grief. Excuse me. During this year of losing my dad, and also I feel like with losing him, I started remembering a lot more losing my best friend Miriam, and I didn't really have the space to really process it. With Miriam passing, and just a trigger warning with like me telling it, it's not like I'm sharing like intimate details, but I'm sharing how the information came to me. So if you just don't want to hear a sad story about loss, that's totally fine. Maybe just skip a minute ahead or two minutes. But I found out that Miriam passed because a friend from high school, she and I went to high school together, told me that someone posted on Facebook that she passed. So it was a post to a friend to me. And I was like, what the fuck? And I ran to my sister's room sobbing and trying to figure out like if she actually did pass. I'm calling everyone, calling her mom. Her mom's not answering. And I was pretty cool with her mom, but like she wasn't answering. I call her boyfriend. Her boyfriend says like, yeah, she passed. We don't know what happened, blah, blah, blah. And so to not get into the full nitty gritty of everything, Miriam passed, and when I went to her memorial service, maybe a week or two after she passed, we still didn't know how she passed. We still had no information about what happened, how it happened. We know that she passed, but there was no funeral, there was no arrangements, there was no anything. The pandemic was just happening. So her mom shipped her body off to Tunisia, where that's where she's buried, where their family's from. And Miriam's body has been buried in Tunisia, a place that she didn't really call home. It was New York, where she met a lot of people who meant so much to her. That's where she called home. But her body was shipped over there. We weren't able to bury her. We weren't able to do a memorial. We did a memorial service, but it wasn't like the traditional of like, you know, letting go of a loss type of thing. And it took months for me to get a assumption of what happened to her. Because we still don't know how she passed, not definitively. I was communicating with her mom a lot to try and like be like, hey, like, do you want me to get you groceries? Do you want me to drop things off? Like, you just lost your daughter. Like, can I do anything to help you out? And I was trying to be there for her, but her mom kept like ghosting me. And then she disappears off the internet for a bit, and then later on, her mom starts posting stuff that's like, George Floyd deserves to die, and like crazy racist bullshit and Trump loving propaganda. And so I just knew that was a lost cause. But it was really hard losing her, and I still to this day have no idea how she passed. Now my characters, I'm not going to make that happen to them. I'm not going to make them have to deal with that kind of grief. But I am going to be like, you know, losing your best friend, very unwarranted. You didn't know that was gonna happen, and then it happens. Because sometimes grief, loss just happens. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen until it happens. And tomorrow is never promised, as we all should know. And it really isn't. Like, it's always important to cherish the people that you have in your life, the people that you love, that you care about. And with the loss of Miriam, I wallowed. It was the first big loss that I ever had. I wallowed. I could not get up out of bed. I ate poorly. I gained so much weight, and the lockdown was happening, so it was like a double whammy, you know. But with the loss of my father, um, I feel like crying and I'm not going to. I'm not gonna cry. Suck it back up. Um, with the loss of him, even though it's been hard and it's been difficult, and I definitely had days, and I still have days where I don't want to fucking get up out of bed. I don't want to leave. Like, I just want to stay in bed and just like wallow in my feelings. I also realized that I want to do the things that I've always wanted to do. Because there are some things that my dad kept talking about doing and just didn't do. There were things that like he loved and didn't get to love it in the way that he wanted to. And I spent a lot of time with people who I felt like sometimes they were like stuck or unwilling to like move forward in certain things, or to move a bit more positively. I felt like, and it took some time for me to realize what I needed in some relationships and what I didn't need. Moral of the story is, I am using these two characters and their beautiful love story to help me process the feelings that I've been feeling. But I'm trying to do it in a much more positive way. So it's not a story about grief. It's a story about people who are grieving, who find joy in themselves and their relationships with other people and the connections that they build along the way, and then with the connections that they build with each other. And I think that that's important. I think that we need to start understanding that grief is something that we are all going to experience in life. It's something that we are all going to feel at one point. If you never experience it, well, I don't know how, but but you experience it, and I feel like some people think about it as like a, oh, you seem so sad, like, I don't know, it's awkward. And then other people are just like, yeah, do you want to talk about it? Like, we can just talk. Do you want to like just tell me a story and like, you know, and connect, and I can feel closer to you when I hear stories about this person that you lost. And I think that that's important, and that's what I want to put into this story. I think that I'm getting a little ahead of myself. This wine is doing her job, but I hope that you like my story. I have written a few stories that I really do like. And I really like these characters. I thought about writing these characters like the day I got fired. And now I'm doing this. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Bye.